Cave, who's this? Mark Gurman has been missing in action for a while, and let's be honest, so have I, but we're both back now, and the news has dropped from the Gurmanator that we have a whole swath of new Macs coming by the end of this year, and at least one will have a more dramatic change than the obligatory chip bump to catch up with the iPad Pro. What even has this year been? But Bloomberg Boy revealed that Apple will be updating the MacBook Pro, the Mac Mini and the iMac with new generation chips before the end of this year, and given that the iMac and MacBook Pro both got their current form factor in 2021, while the Mac Mini has remained basically unchanged since 2010, it feels like it should be the Mac Mini's turn, right? Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Don't get me wrong, it absolutely could be. It's certainly due for some love, and we have seen some rumours over the past few years of a smaller Mac Mini with colourful designs, smaller designs, and even some that harked back more to the original Mac Mini design, which had a much smaller footprint, just big enough for an optical drive with an aluminium side and polycarbonate lid, just a little bit flatter than this one. And when the Mac Mini M1 arrived, that thing's pretty empty inside, and it was still packing the 150 watt power supply, way overkill for an M chip, so it made a lot of sense for it to potentially get smaller. Could have even been like Apple TV small probably, but we now also have an M2 Pro Mac Mini, so maybe it won't be shrinking quite so much if this really is getting the update to an M4 Pro. But maybe it's not the Mini, just like maybe you're not subscribed, which is basically discriminating against me. Fix that, eh? So I don't think it'll be the MacBook Pro either, though. We've already heard that there is an OLED version of it on the way, but that's probably not going to be until at least next year, possibly 2026. So that leaves us with the iMac, and maybe, just maybe, more dramatic changes are coming there. I mean, think about it. The Mac Mini is what it is. Changing the form factor or making it colourful is probably not going to sell that many more units, but maybe they could go to a smaller polycarbonate chassis. Maybe they could drop the price another $100 back to that $499 that the Mac Mini originally launched with way back in 2005. So close to 20 years ago. That would be awesome, but no. I think the iMac, everyone's biggest complaint has been, honestly, since the pretty awesome looking M1 iMac was released, has been the lack of the replacement for that glorious 27-inch model, and yes, there is one set up and running here in the new iCave too. But I've said from the start that 24 inches and 27 inches just doesn't make any sense for the display sizes. They're far too close together. It's too similar on the desktop as far as I'm concerned. So I would assume it's something around 30 inches most likely. And now, given that Apple seems to have moved on from its mini LED ambitions, it may well be harder for analysts to see these in the supply chain than it would have been before. And honestly, that might be what's delayed them from doing a larger version, is that they were trying to do it with mini LED and couldn't. But what's going to power these things? So I could see the iMac getting the option for an M4 Pro chip, but probably not the Max and Ultra chips for a true iMac Pro replacement, as some have hoped. And if that's the case, I'd also expect the option to come both to the 24-inch and the new larger models, as that's in line with everything else we've seen from Apple so far, where the display sizes are not a limiting factor for the chips, although they might have a binned M4 chip option in the smaller iMac, with the larger model starting with the full performance M4. What Apple has done in the recent past, though, is a different colour option based on which chips you have inside, including with the iMac M1, which had 4 colours available for the binned $1299 M1 and 3 additional colours for the full-on chip. So perhaps a space black option like the higher-end MacBook Pros could come to the iMac, with, dare I say it, dark bezels. Can you imagine? Only available on the M4 Pro model, but boy, that would look good. And it would be a nice nod to the iMac Pro, which was the first space grey iMac. And it looked amazing. People still pay a premium just for the peripherals that it shipped with. The M4 in the iPad Pro has a much more powerful display controller, so that the tandem OLED display could be operated. So maybe, perhaps, maybe also this could support a pair of external displays finally? Or will the resolution of Apple's larger iMac, which of course is still just an idea in my head at the moment, would need that extra juice, like when the 30-inch cinema display arrived and needed dual DVI connections to drive it. And when will we likely see these? Well, most likely in October. Apple has a way of waiting just a little bit longer for the macOS public release after the iOS, watchOS, iPadOS and tvOS typically arrive in September, and it's also been rumoured that Apple Intelligence won't be quite ready for the September event when the iPhone 16, the 16 Plus, the 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max will be unveiled, most likely alongside a slightly redesigned Apple Watch Series 10, a not at all redesigned Apple Watch Ultra 3, and hopefully updated iPad and iPad mini. As all of those will be getting Apple Intelligence, all being well including the Apple Watches, Apple will be glad of an extra opportunity to showcase the features of Apple Intelligence as it actually becomes available to the public. And as the NPU in the M4 is around 3 times faster than the one in the M1, that event would be a pretty good time to feature Apple Intelligence. So there you go, my best guess on what Apple is likely to do. Maybe this will age horribly and we'll just get rainbow coloured Mac minis, but it seems way less likely to sell more Macs than Apple finally going all stealth mode on the iMac and giving people the bigger display that they've been begging for. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you've got any questions you want me to answer in a future video, smash them down there as well. Make sure you've hit the like button, do the subscribey thing. Thank you to the Patreons. All these guys are very attractive. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell.